Hi again. Cracker Barrel says it will scrap its new logo after fierce backlash from customers and public figures. The restaurant chain posted on X yesterday thanking guests for sharing their voices and announcing the old-timer logo would remain. The brief rebrand removed the image of the farmer known as Uncle Herschel leaning on a barrel, replacing it with just the company name. The company had been using the old logo since 1969. Some critics, including Florida Congressman Byron Donalds, framed the redesign as a woke move and a break with tradition. President Trump also weighed in, urging Cracker Barrel to reverse course and later congratulating them for doing so. The logo switch cost the company on Wall Street, with shares falling around 4%, but they bounced back yesterday after the company reversed course. Despite the headlines, Cracker Barrel says it remains focused on serving up delicious food and country hospitality. And for more on Cracker Barrel bringing back their old logo and amid pushback of stripping the Americana antiques in its stores, we like to speak to Will Hild, the Executive Director of Consumers Research. Hi, Will.
Great to be with you.
Does Cracker Barrel have a chance to do what Trump says and use this big publicity splash to turn things around in their favor?
I think they can, but I think they're going to have to do more than just go back to the old logo. One of the things that came out of this entire controversy is that it's not just what's outside of the organization that's rotten, it's a lot of what's going on under the hood. They have been pushing the culture of Cracker Barrel from a corporate perspective in the woke direction now for years. This is something that myself and other people like Robbie Starbuck have been documenting, partially because of the selection of the executive that runs it, but also because of the influence of woke asset managers like BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. And so I do think this is a nod towards consumers, that they are not completely tone deaf to their own customer base, but there needs to be more done before customers can really trust this brand again.
Understood. Elaborate. What does the so-called wokeness have to do with it?
Well, the two things are related, because when you have companies that are selecting executives not for their ability to serve consumers, but instead to serve the woke politics of people like Larry Fink at BlackRock or State Street or Vanguard, you end up with sort of this homogeneous culture. Now, it's all woke, it's all far left, but it explains why you've seen a move towards like a simpler logo that doesn't have the heritage of the old one. The decor changes to a much more minimalist, not really Americana anymore vibe. The CEO's former job was running Yum Brands, Taco Bell, not exactly a company known for its atmosphere when you go to eat there. And this is the problem with selecting executives, as these asset managers have bragged about doing, but selecting executives not for their competence, but for their racial and sexual demographic characteristics, meaning their race and their sex. This is something that Larry Fink bragged about doing in 2017. And these are the fruits. It's not just the decline in quality that we've seen across corporate America. This has led to things like doors blowing off of Boeing airplanes. But it creates a detachment from a focus on consumers, because instead they're trying to cozy up to woke Wall Street instead.
Okay, well, does this bring about memories of Target when they had to redirect their course after some backlash over some apparel?
That's exactly right. And it's the same situation. You have a bunch of woke executives who feel no loyalty to their own consumer base. They see their job as almost political utilities for the far left wing of the Democratic Party. And so they use their corporate status or the corporate brand to push a political agenda. We saw that with Target, as you noted, pushing LGBTQ radical gender ideology in the products that they were selling, targeting kids. In some of their displays and pushing transgender ideology on children. And that created a backlash because Target really wasn't trying to focus on their customer base there. They were focused on their politics. And that's exactly what's happened to Cracker Barrel now. They're sort of the latest in this recently increasing line of companies that have blown up their brand, whether it's Target or Budweiser, by going woke and focusing on woke politics and activists instead of their customers.
Will, I hear everything you're saying. Help us understand the claim that taking a farmer off of a billboard would help politics.
Yeah, it's not so much that intentionally that taking the farmer off of the logo is itself woke. It's that sort of minimalist beige culture that seems to pervade corporate America right now, where everything is undifferentiated, where everything just becomes the same Helvetica font. That's connected to recruiting executive exclusively based on this DEI ideology. In other words, if you were looking for someone to run Cracker Barrel, you wouldn't pick someone based on race and sex. You'd base it on whether they understood how to operate a restaurant that has this Americana home cooking niche. And that's not what they looked for explicitly. The Wall Street firms that play this most significant role in choosing the executives explicitly have said that they choose based on race and sex. And that's what they have. They have a woman CEO who came from a brand that is in no way related to Cracker Barrel, previous job. And so they found somebody who basically doesn't understand the customer base in Cracker Barrel. So it's not so much that changing the logo is woke in and of itself. These are the consequences of going woke. This is the consequences of choosing executives based on woke characteristics rather than competence and skill and a culture match with the culture of Cracker Barrel.
Let's talk about culture. So Cracker Barrel stock dropped about 4% after it announced it was doing away with the old logo, later rebound, which we've been covering. What does this tell us about the importance consumers, American consumers, place on the tradition and heritage?
That's exactly right, and great question, which is, there's lots of different ways to appeal to consumers in America, and as the nation's oldest consumer protection group, we support all of it. People should, be actually truly diverse, and meaning trying to appeal to different customer bases in different ways. And Cracker Barrel is such a perfect example about that. There really isn't another company like them in their lane. And they own this Americana, kitsch, traditional home cooking market gap that really only they filled. And so to blow that up and to tick off all the consumers that relied on that on road trips across America to have the catfish and cornbread that they know so well, to blow that up, there's no way you can fit that into an idea of seeking profitability. There's no reason to do that in order to make more money. The only explanation for that is to push woke politics.
An interesting and very nuanced discussion from you, Hild. Great having you here.
Great to be with you.